Parties go out into the world questing for various reasons. It could be a simple job. It could be a religious endeavor. But to be honest, everyone's favorite part is the loot. Most people think of loot simply as gold, or if you're in a more impoverished area, perhaps coppers or silver. Historically, though, many different items were used as money. In ancient Rome, people were often paid in salt or in iron nails, and once you got out of the large empires, people didn't really have a monetary system. Most things were done on barter. So how exactly can you spice up your games by using alternatives to cash money? Historically, a lot of warriors didn't actually work for coin. Those were mercenaries. If you were there as a bodyguard or some other fighting force for a local landowner or perhaps a small city, you would be on retainer in exchange for room and board. You would have a hot meal 3 times a day, you'd have a roof over your head, and you would have a place to call your own. Your party could benefit similarly. Did they stop that goblin invasion? Maybe the town is so grateful they will give you one of their empty buildings in perpetuity that your party could set up their headquarters in. Perhaps saving the farmers, they'll give you a certain amount of eggs every day, a certain amount of milk or bread. And membership has its privileges. By doing these deeds and becoming a permanent resident of the town or perhaps an official servant of a certain lord, you gain their prestige and their notoriety. So as you travel the countryside or you get into higher and higher level fights, you are representing them, and therefore people who are also aligned with your liege or your sponsor will also provide you with benefits. Perhaps if you're the city's official saviors, when you go to another city, they will automatically house you. In societies where people don't have much coinage or paper money, they'll often repay help in-kind services. What that means is if you're helping a blacksmith, that blacksmith might then be partial to you to repair any broken armor or perhaps make you new armor, either with materials you've gathered or looted from the corpses of the dead, or perhaps they will go out of their way to get rare metals. Armor made from a meteorite? Why not? There's many other kinds too. Perhaps you have helped someone who lives in the woods and they forage for rare botanicals that can be used to make healing potions. In a roundabout way, it's equivalent to money. Perhaps your group now has access to these materials which they can sell or gain the equivalent of a free health potion every week. And the same thing works for other materials with foods that can nourish so you don't have to replace rations, with animal skins that can be used to make new sorts of containers like backpacks, water holding devices, or maybe even new kinds of armor. And hey, why can't this armor be a special quality that gives you advantages to making stealth rolls or disguising yourself? This can also lead into the realm of the arcane. Perhaps you do a service for a young wizard who then gives you certain spell scrolls, or a priest who will be more than happy to remove a curse since you've done him a number of favors in the past. You can also choose to pay a group in certain art materials. These could be paintings, these could be music, this could be sculptures. Often these materials can come looted from ancient civilizations, or perhaps they've been in the quester's family for hundreds of years and they really don't know the value anymore, but somehow it seems right to give your party. Those items could just be red herrings and absolute junk that no one wants, or perhaps they're ancient magic or hold secrets to future quests. You never know. Even it could be commissioned. Perhaps a young Johann Sebastian Orc is writing a new symphony that your bard can then take and use to do his performances all over the countryside. It's new, it's exciting. He'll get all sorts of money and accolades. Having these cultural and artistic items in your party's back pocket also gives them access to higher quality of nobles once they go to the capital or some larger city. Those people have extra cash and are certainly willing to trade in order to get more and more rare items. From there, your party gets access to higher level quests, to more important people, perhaps even meeting the king. Historically, when a king went to war, he didn't actually have an army himself. The armies were controlled by his nobles, or he might hire mercenaries. Often, as part of their compensation package, they would be granted lands and titles in newly conquered areas. Have goblins been raiding your settlements in the border area? Perhaps the king has decided it's time to get rid of those goblins, and you are part of that, raiding their villages, driving them out deep into the forests or into the mountains. Guess what? This is a new area. And hey, who's better to run that area than the people who helped conquer it? That's your party. The king may not actually have any gold with which to give your party, but now that you have that patch of land, you can get settlers on it, or perhaps take settlers who were there and held under the thumb of whatever army controlled it, and now they're free to go about their lives, farming, mining, gaining new products from the forest. It's up to your party to take care of these people, and in return, you get taxes. You get to tax these people every year on their productivity in order for them to live on your land. This is a passive income for your party. Oh, is that now too much money for your party? Well, hey, no problem, because your king is definitely going to tax you. Owning property also leads to all sorts of political intrigue, where people will try to marry into your family and have their daughters marry you. You can't go wrong with a princess that has big tracts of land. A further way that your party can be compensated is with non-monetary items. So for example, they're gifted a ship that they can then take on cruises around the world. Perhaps they're gifted animals. Does your party need a new set of horses or a wagon that they can take with them? You might need that to carry some loot back. Or perhaps even something more exotic. Baby unicorn, baby dragon, baby mind flayer. These are all possibilities as compensation for helping out locals, or maybe even the wealthy. Most role-playing games will have some version of a Dungeon Master's Guide. Usually there are tables with alternative sorts of loot in there. It's highly recommended that you use it, or in the case that it doesn't have that, just make one yourself. Adding alternative forms of loot other than straight up cash can really add a lot of flavor to the game and to help keep your players from becoming so wealthy that there's no more reason for them to quest. Thanks for listening, everyone. What kind of loot do you like to give your players? Leave your comment down below. If you could, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and I will see you guys back soon.